Hello everybody, Mannix here. Going to be doing a knife review on pretty cool looking knife. Is the Schrade SCHA5BR. The SCHA5 is the model line, I guess you could call it, of this exact design, and then BR stands for brown right here. I like the brown handle scales, and they also have a black handle with a bead blasted finish. This one happens to be the brown with the, I don't know what you call it, Teflon finish, I guess. There's a coating on there. It's cheap. It'll scratch off on you eventually, but I haven't used this one a whole bunch to really see any wear on that blade. But yeah, so you get a couple different color options on it. It's not a fantastic knife. It looks really cool. You're going to either love the way this knife looks, or you are going to absolutely despise this thing because it's very sci-fi looking. I like sci-fi kind of cool stuff, and a lot of people in the knife community absolutely cannot stand that. It looks cheap to them. It looks like a toy. I completely understand, but I have no problem with something looking like a toy if it doesn't function like a toy. If it functions like a knife, then I think it's awesome. If it looks cool, it looks cool, but it's not going to be everyone's bag. It's got a lot of close-ups on this guy because it is absolutely beautiful, I think. Just so many intricate designs in there, all the little cutouts, the grinds, the very geometric, abrupt corners and turns. Big old broad blade on there too. Very functional blade shape. Very functional. Got some stop pins on there. Sorry, we do have a stop pin there, but we have some thumb studs right here, which are perfectly designed. This is awesome. The spine back here. Look at that design. Look, there's like this milling and like the backspace, the FRN backspacer right there. And you have almost like a skateboard tape. Like, it's not that grippy, gritty, but it's almost like rubberized skateboard tape, it feels like, but that's really cool right there. I like this trapezoid kind of shape. It's cool. They put so much design into the spine of the knife, basically. Like on the tail end right there, you got more of that. The cutouts and the backspacer. Really awesome looking lanyard hole right there. That's really, really cool. I like that. It's just a cool design that kind of complements the rest of the knife's shape. It's not just a hole. Yes, the hole's a little bit more functional, but it's, it's a rhombus, I guess you'd call that. I like how the design tapers right there in the handle. The liner lock is so cool. This whole section right here, we even have like a lot of attention to detail. You can see an extra cutout on the right there, so it's easier for your thumb to get to. Very, again, geometric kind of abrupt shape right there. We have a flush mounted pivot pin right there. We have the pivot screw on this side, which you can adjust. I like how it's flat. It's just cool. Like, I don't really necessarily want them bulging out like when it's flush with the handle right there. So that's kind of cool. And it's a presentation setup too, so they have the flush side that does not have the bit in there on the presentation side of the knife. We have a safety right here because it is an assisted knife. Red means fire, ready, go, attack, danger. And when it's closed, it will not open up. But we'll go into that in a little bit. Right now I'm just getting the design down because it's so cool looking, I think. Really cool looking. Now, let's get the specs out of the way. Overall length, 7.625 inches. The blade length is 3.375 inches. Its thickness is 0.11 inches. We have AUS 8 blade steel on there. I believe it's flat ground. And yes, I'm looking at specs. It is a flat ground, it says. Oh, cool. The finish under here is bead blasted, I believe, but then we have a coating on top of it. Doesn't really matter. Plain edge, thank you. Handle length is 4.25 inches. Handle thickness, it says 0.67 inches. I'm assuming that's just the widest part of the handle right there. It is spring assisted, and the pocket clip sucks. This pocket clip is so bad. Now, it carries nicely, but it's, look how, I don't know, it looks like it would be functional, but a good pocket, let me show you a good pocket clip. Good pocket clip is something like that. It's flush right here, it plateaus, and then it pinches down, and then there's a big old loop right here. So it's easy to get in and out of the pocket. You don't have to lift it up with your fingers or fingernails and break them or whatever when trying to get it in your pocket. But you have plenty of leeway and room right here. This is an example of a crappy pocket clip, I think, personally. It brings up right here from the screw, and then it just instantly shoots down instead of plateauing and then pinching down. Yeah, if it works, it works, but in this case, it's very tight. I don't like how tiny it is. I don't necessarily like the way it looks that much. It looks okay, but I don't know. It doesn't really fit the design of the rest of the knife. Like, I like how, again, the design, like right here in the lanyard hole, they complemented the rest of the knife's shape, basically, if that makes any sense. And it's like, whang. The pocket clip is just like this flush little thing. Yeah, I know I'm making the sound effects and stuff. I don't usually do that when I talk, but it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of so bland and cheap looking. It's blackened. I guess it's good, but it's such a tiny little ending. I can't even lift this up with my fingers. It's just, it goes in and out of the pocket nicely because it is smooth right here, but it's just kind of a bad, cheap design, I think. But that being said, it's not terrible. You only have one screw in there, but again, being flush, once again, it is flush mounted into the handle scale, so you're not going to have issues with it rotating around because it has nowhere to go. It's literally inside of the handle. Schrade, it says right there, big old stamped letters. It's kind of cool looking, I guess. I'd prefer if it was completely blank there, but that's fine. The blade's completely blank. Not this side, though. This side is complete, stamped with a whole bunch of crap on there. Design patent pending. You see 3 patents on there. Then AUS 8 steel. I guess it kind of goes with the whole industrial, like, sci-fi type design they're going with here, but whatever. Overall, I think it's a really, really cool, robust looking knife. And you might notice right off the bat, it's got like a bend to it. It's like, shoots out, then on a completely different angle, it shoots back out there with the blade. And that's going to throw a lot of people off, but it is functional for certain tasks. I noticed when I'm using this to like open a box or something, the blades are like, hey, look, let me help you out there. It's like already pointing down to help you do that. It's kind of like a kukri. It might be good for chopping and slashing, stuff like that. The slight difference in design, but it's going to throw a lot of people off because it's different. You can see in my hand, it's almost like a gun handle or something. It's comfortable. It's a comfortable knife. Surprising. You might not look like it. Look, all these sharp corners and turns. Like, oh, that sucks. It's actually pretty comfortable. I like that it's slightly rounded up here. It's very smooth. It's a thicker handle, so you got a lot to hold on to. I prefer the thicker handles over the thinner handles, though I do like both of them for different reasons. I like having a lot to grip onto. It's just nice. Hand filling, I guess. I like this cutout right here. It looks, again, very angular, but it feels very rounded. And then we have a little cant right there. Pinky lands right here where it should, and that's pretty comfortable. It's a comfortable knife to hold. There's no jimping to really grab onto. This is supposed to be jimping, but it doesn't work at all. Not that it really matters that much. There's a lot to hold on to on the knife. And I do like this grippiness right here. That doesn't really help a whole lot either, but again, it's there. It's cool looking. Super awesome. Like, I love the attention to detail. Reverse grip, it's going to carry just like that. Actually, that's somewhat uncomfortable right here where my ring finger is, but regardless. Again, I do like the cant it's on. If you don't like the cant, you know, the bend in the design right there, don't buy the knife. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of knives. 99.9% of the knives don't do this, so it's just kudos for being different, Schrade. I like how Schrade tries different things and does interesting locking mechanisms and, well, maybe not locking mechanisms so much, but like different, deployment mechanisms, and they experiment a lot. And I do appreciate Schrade for doing that. Schrade's made some pretty cool stuff, and they're not too expensive. By the way, this retails at $69.32, so about $70. That would be a terrible price for this knife. That would be absolutely awful. But I got this for $20 on eBay new. A lot of dealers sell them for $20 to $25. For that price, you can't really complain too much. That's actually, the quality's on par with that price. Now, I've basically been raving about how awesome the knife is, but when it comes to a couple things, there are some issues. Blade steel is great. I have nothing wrong with AOS 8. Not the best rust resistance, but we have coating on here, so that's not going to matter. If you get the bead blasted one, I would oil it up and take care of it, because you get speckling on there really fast, the bead blasted finish. But this blade, you're not really going to have to worry about it because it's coated. But that being said, it gets razor. It was very sharp out of the box, not absolutely razor sharp like some knives I get, but it is very, very, very sharp out of the box. A lot more than, an M-Tech or something that's, $10 range or whatever. So $20, $25 range. It's just one step down below, like the Spyderco Tenacious line, the Buck Vantage, and the Kershaw Skyline. It's slightly under that quality level, but again, you're paying a little bit less. So doesn't that make sense, right? You're paying $10, $15 less. Yeah, you should expect that. So, but the blade steel is very good. I like AOS 8. Cold Steel used that on their knives for many, many years. They finally switched to something different. I can't remember what they switched to. I think it's a carpenter steel or something. Who cares? Anyway, it's a very good blade steel for the money. For the money, there's really nothing you can complain about. It's, I would say, a little bit better than 440C. Gets a little bit sharper. I don't know if the edge lasts as long, but I don't remember. It's very similar to that price range. I would say it's AOS 8's a little bit better than 8CR13 MOV, I would argue, but again, there's differences here and there. So, but it comes down to the point where how often are you using your knives? What are you using your knives for? I don't just cut stuff all day. I occasionally open a package or plastic wrap or something simple. Occasionally zip ties if I have to. But that being said, there's really, if you continue to strop your knife and you just use it normally, your edge is going to last you a long time. Even if you have some crappy 440C steel, let me tell you, they've been using 440C for years and years and years, and no one really had any issues with it. Just because they have better, more expensive, prettier steels now doesn't mean the stuff below it is junk, if that makes any sense at all. So that's my point. I love AUS 8. I have never had any issues with it. It always works just fine for me. I don't care if my blade, I mean, I would prefer S30V or something awesome like that, yeah, but you're also going to be paying out the ass for it. Sorry for my language there, but either way, yeah, completely adequate blade steel. I like the design when it's closed. Look at that. It's so cool looking. Such a cool shape. So let's talk about this flipper right here. It's actually not a flipper, because usually when you have a flipper, you see it appear down there, but look at this. It disappeared. Where'd it go? The flipper's gone. It's gone. The flipper's gone. Yeah, actually, it's right here. It just went flush under the handle. The whole theme of this knife is flush. And no, don't make any toilet jokes. A lot of people are like, oh, that knife sucks, flush. I mean, some people are going to say that. So, yeah, that's actually, I set myself up for that one. That's fine. But it's called the Magic. I can't remember what it stands for. Probably nothing. But it doesn't do anything. It's literally just a hunk of plastic, or FRN, I would say. By the way, FRN scales right here. I should have mentioned this earlier. We have steel liners that are not skeletonized. By the way, that brings me to weight. I think it's 5 ounces even. I think it's just 5 ounces. It's a little bit of a heavier guy. A little chunky monkey. Yep, 5 ounces on the nose. But yeah, the Magic, it's a little piece of plastic that pushes the blade, and it's an assisted knife. So it'll just kind of pop out on you just like that. Let's check the lockup on here, actually. Well, that's an issue we're going to talk about. No side to side on this one. I think I tightened it a little bit, but there's no side to side, and the blade still comes flying out of the handle. Some people get the misconception when you have a knife that has some side to side play, like, oh man, that sucks, it's such a bad knife. Well, you tighten it, and then there's no more side to side. It's not that big of a deal. But the point is, if your knife is opening very slowly and it's really tight, or the assisted mechanism isn't really working right anymore because it's too tight, and now the problem is that there's no side to side, but the issue with that is you want a knife that flies out of the handle and has a rock solid lockup. That's something a lot of manufacturers struggle with trying to do. If you pay a lot more money, then yeah, you should be getting that, I think. But that being said, with the cheaper guys, that's not always the case. So you can tighten your blade as much as you want, but it won't fly out of the handle anymore. It'll be very stiff and tight. And yeah, you won't have any side-to-side play, but now you can't flick it open. But you want a knife that does exactly what this one just did. And because it's a cheaper knife, you're going to probably get some quality control issues, so not all of them will be like this. But this one flies out of the handle and has absolutely no side-to-side. And there's a capability for that in this knife, is my point. There is some up and down, though, and we're going to talk about that in the liner. But I'm interrupting myself talking about the Magic. I don't see anything magical about it. It's cool, they're innovating, but it doesn't help with anything at all. So it's a piece of plastic that pushes the blade. It's no different than a flipper. If anything, it's worse than a flipper because you don't have a guard on it. Usually what a knife does is, do I have a flipper knife on me? I don't have okay, I do have a flipper knife right here. This is an Ozark Trail 4028. Awesome. This knife costs less than $5, and it's like $25 quality. It's slightly higher quality than this knife right here in some ways, actually, but that's not the point. So when you have a flipper is literally just a part of the blade. It's part of the steel, and you're pushing it, and then when you have it open, it doubles as a guard. Yay! This blade does not have a flipper. It's basically, you can consider it like a thumb stud knife, but there's a little piece of plastic on there that pivots, and it pushes the blade open, so you're technically not touching it. Wouldn't that could be considered an automatic in some ways. An auto is basically, it's a knife that's spring assisted or is a torsion bar, whatever the case is, but you're pushing a button or you're pushing a switch, pulling something that allows the blade to fly out, but you're not actually technically touching the blade, and that's what makes it an automatic knife, not an assisted knife. Well, an assisted knife is when you're actually pushing the blade itself and then it catches onto the spring. In this case, technically, you're not pushing the blade, you're pushing a switch, which I guess would kind of be automatic-ish, but it doesn't make the work any easier. According to physics, it's not just going to make it easier because there's a switch that pushes the blade, even though you're putting in the same exact amount of force anyway. So I don't understand the point to it. It's just a little switch that goes flush under the handle, but if you had a flipper, you would accomplish the exact same thing. I don't understand why they made it. I don't get it. Another thing I don't like about it is when you flick the knife like that, it just kind of sits there. It's hokey looking. Look at that. Just kind of useless switch, and it does not make a good thumb ramp either. Not at all. So I don't understand the Magic. If somebody can correct me, if you actually think there is an upside to having it, let me know. I'm open to ideas, but maybe if you don't want a guard on there for what aesthetically, maybe, and you just want a way to play, maybe that's what it could be cool for. But I do not see an upside to it. Innovative, very innovative. It's cool that Schrade is like doing stuff because like basically all the other knife companies aren't really doing anything. They're just doing the same stuff we've been seeing for like a decade, according to me. Sorry, I'm getting all on my high horse here. I'm not trying to do that, but it's just, who cares? It's a little plastic switch that pushes it open. I don't know. I'm going way too much into the stupid little switch. It's cool that it's something different, and it doesn't make anything worse other than maybe losing the guard there. But who cares? It flies out of the handle. It's assisted. Personally, I would have liked a manual knife. I'm actually not into assisted knives at all. I don't care. Like, oh no, yeah, okay, the knife opens up a little bit faster, but this is a manual knife. It opened up just fine. This is a manual knife. 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 They all flick out open just fine. I don't really care for the assisted mechanism. Some people think they're cool because maybe if you're injured or something, you really need to open up with a very tiniest little flick. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. I just don't care. It doesn't really make anything easier. In fact, I don't like how it's constantly putting pressure on the blade as I'm trying to close it, because what if I slip and accidentally cut myself? I'd rather just have a manual folder. They work just fine. Knives these days, the past decade, again, they're very fast. They fly out of the handle when they're manual, and they're even cheapos. They're just nylon washers can accomplish that. It's just, I don't need the assisted function, but it's still, some people are into that, and it's cool. So I have two major issues with this knife, actually three major issues, but the first one we're going to cover that I've been hinting at many times is this lockup sucks. As far as up and down goes, it sucks. Side to side's perfect. Up and down sucks. Now, the problem is, you can see that the liner is like 50% there, but look at this. I just moved it. You're not supposed to do that with a knife. You should not be able to move the liner further than what it does. Even if I really flick this hard as I possibly can, like, it doesn't go any further, but I can actually push this. That is not a good lockup. It should be stopping right where the blade stops with the stop, and that's where it should stop. It should not go any further. It should do that automatically to its 100%, full capacity where it can go at the time of the LOXA life bar. But I literally just pushed it over to 100% locked. That means there's some empty space in there, or there's something wrong, and that's where the up and down play is. Now, when I have it pushed all the way, there's just a hair of up and down, but it's still a good lockup. It doesn't have to lock up like a bank vault. What are you doing with your knife, But that being said, it's just almost no play whatsoever when it's all the way here. But that means there's a problem if it's opening up. If I open it up and it gets to that point, that's where it's supposed to go, and then that's blade play. Not good. I think eventually this would disengage if I really spine whacked it, but I don't like to do the spine whack test, so that's an issue, and that's the problem. It's a quality control thing. It's crazy how they charge like $70 for this thing retail, but it is a cheaper knife. It's FRN AUS 8. Yeah, it's like the as far as its materials go and the build and everything, other than the lockup issue. Yeah, they could get away with maybe like $35, maybe 40, but that would be really pushing it. I think I would not pay $40 for this knife. But that being said, for $20, it's hard to complain about it because it's pretty good. And maybe I got a lemon, but I had another one of these years ago. I bought another one just because it was only $20. It was so cheap, and I loved the way it looked. And I was like, oh, maybe the last one I got was a lemon. What happened with the last one, here comes issue number 2, is that eventually the torsion bar inside of it broke. It stopped being assisted, and I think it was rattling around in there. I can't really remember what happened, but it was like half assisted. I would prefer like, hey, perfect manual knife, yeah, but it's not meant to be a manual knife, and it doesn't close right because it doesn't have a detent in there. It doesn't need one because it uses the torsion bar to keep it shut, pretty much. So expect the torsion bar to probably break if you just open and close. And I remember I didn't even have the knife for that long, and it broke on me. That was a previous one I had years ago. Who knows if they updated it, but I've used this one for quite some time, and so far there are no issues as far as that goes, but expect it to break. Kershaw's tend to do that. A lot of the torsion bar snaps at some point. They're a little bit cheaper. I would put this around like a Kershaw kind of quality. I'm not really a huge Kershaw guy. No offense if you are a Kershaw guy. I do not care. That's cool if you're into that. I'm personally just not, for the most part. Some of them I do like, but it's about that quality, that price range, and they have assisted knives, and a lot of the time the torsion bars break. And I remember I complained about that in a video on my old channel, and then someone actually was like, well, if you open and close a knife, it's going to do that at some point. The torsion bar is going to break on you. What are you complaining about? Are you kidding me? The response, they defend the knife by saying, it's going to break because when you open and close it, that's what it does, idiot. It's like, that's so stupid to me. It should not, you shouldn't expect the knife to break when you buy it, especially when you're paying 30, 40 bucks for it. Anyway, regardless, I'm going all over the place in this review. This is a fun review. This is a lot to talk about. This is a feature-length review right here. But yeah, so far no problems with this one. So it's like 2.5 issues, I guess I have with it. The lockup's bad. That's really bad. It shouldn't be doing that. So maybe mine's a lemon. Again, I would expect different things from different knives. If you have this knife, let me know what yours is doing or what happened to yours. Now the third issue, you can't realistically take this knife apart. It's really cool how there's like no screws or anything. Very sleek and slick. There's no screws on there. It's cool how it just sort of, everything's completely hidden. The hardware must be under the scale and where the liner is. But I can't remember what it was. It was when, it was when I had the broken one. I tried to fix it, or tried to see what was going on with the assisted torsion bar. I unscrewed the pivot screw, unscrewed the pocket clip. I think I managed to take the I don't think I was able to take the scale off. Like, it would rotate around on something, but I couldn't actually like pull it apart. I can't remember what the situation was. So yeah, that's pretty, it's kind of a big deal. It looks cool aesthetically, yeah, and maybe you can take it apart, and I just don't know what to do. I remember I looked up how to take it apart, couldn't figure out. I remember I asked on a forum, how do I take it apart? Nobody answered, so my conclusion is you cannot take it apart unless there's something I'm completely missing, but whatever. Anyway, those are all the bad things, but the good things are, I think it looks cool. If you don't think it looks cool, then there's nothing you're going to like about this knife. It's not good, but functionally, it's okay. Lockup is bad, but the blade shape is good. I like that big old broad flat grind on there. Very functional. A lot of belly. Good blade steel. And they have like a cool design here. I like the geometric kind of grind right here. You have, I guess it's a thumb ramp. You kind of scooch up here, but that's kind of uncomfortable. You'd have to scooch up like this, but then your finger's too close to the edge. That's not good. But it's basically just like a one grip knife. This and then reverse grip, I guess. So blade shape's good. Blade steel is good. Carries okay, not the best, but it's fine. Cool looking. I really like the brown kind of speckled shiny look, and if you're not into the brown, you can get the regular black one if you like. I think you have a black with black blade, they have black with bead blast blade, they have brown with black, they have brown with bead blast. I think those are all the options. I might have more. Now the lock right here, the magic lock, that sounds funny, the magic lock, it's like a children's book. The lock for the knife, it works very fine. We have it switched shut. I don't understand the mechanics of it exactly, but it's very easy to get to. It's not down here or anything. A lot of knives will put the lock like somewhere in a completely inconvenient spot. The point for that is that your thumb doesn't somehow accidentally unlock it, I guess. I don't see how that's an issue, because if your thumb's here, you probably want to lock it or something. So I don't understand why that would be an issue, but whatever. They have it in a really good spot, so you pull it out of the pocket, it's hip up, so it's in your pocket just like that. You grab it, and your thumb already lands right there, your finger lands right there, your thumb's next to the thumb stud. Everything's ready to go, everything's in control. You can quickly do that. It snaps, has a really nice snap to it. Works just fine. I haven't tested this personally, like for just hours and hours and hours, but I've heard other people have, and they did not have any issues. That's good. Looks really cool. Again, I like the rhombus kind of angular design on there. It's jimped, as you can probably see. Very cool. Now, it also, this is something good about the lockup. At least you can actually lock this. You can put the lock into the locked position when the knife is open, and it acts as a second lock for your lock. I have the liner open. I should be able to close this, but it's not allowing me. If I really banged it, I probably would be able to get away. I don't want to really try to break it or anything, but I don't think it's the strongest thing ever. I don't understand the mechanics of it again, but it does act as a second lock for the locking mechanism. That's good. So a lock for your liner lock? Heck yeah, that's awesome. So if you're worried about the blade play issue, which mine has, yes, I know that sucks. You have a lock for your lock, so you can have a babysitter on there. It's like a second. That's good. So that does strengthen it. That is helpful. So I like that about that. Dual purpose kind of. You can lock it in the open position, and you can lock it in the closed position. That's really cool. It's a really cool feature, actually, now that I think about it. A lock for your lock. Hey, cool. They've had that before. I think they had the locks system that CRKT had. It's basic. It's kind of like that, basically. So, $20? Yeah, totally worth it. If you like the way it looks, yeah, it's a really cool knife. I think it's super awesome looking. That's what attracted me to it. Again, not everyone's cup of tea, but there's a reason not many knives that look like this exist, because a lot of people don't like them. But for the ones that do exist, you get 100% of the audience, basically, and that's it's functional enough, but it's got some kinks, it's got some issues. Expect there to be problems if you're going to buy this knife. Expect something to go wrong, expect something to be wrong. If you get a good one, you get a really, really cool knife for the money. For 20 bucks, 25 bucks, heck yeah, that's a really good price for what you're getting. It is a functional blade. Let's not forget about the blade. I'm talking about the handle, the lockup, the magic system, and going all over the place, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, does it cut? Yes, it cuts very well. It gets very sharp. It holds a good edge for a decent amount of time. It's a good blade, and it's a very nice shape on there too. Very functional. That being said, it's got some kinks. It's got some hokey issues here and there. Do I recommend it? If you like the way it looks, the short answer is yes. I recommend the knife. If you don't like the way it looks, no, I absolutely do not recommend the knife. So anyway, that's it. That is the Schrade SCHA5BR. Thanks for watching.